Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Love Is podcast. I'm excited to welcome the host of the Love Is podcast, Kim Sorrelle. Kim, what's going on? And you're in South Dakota. You're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
I am, Neil. So great to see you. So great to be with you. Very excited about our guest. But yes, I am in Custer, South Dakota, and it is beautiful. It's the first time I've ever been here, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. And our guest just told me that he loves South Dakota, a man who has been to all 50 states. I don't know very many people who have been to all 50 states. That's pretty amazing all by itself. But there's so much more amazing things about Robert Hunter, who is a writer, a songwriter, a singer, a man of the world, well-traveled, everything, so many experiences, is doing some really great things right now. So we're excited to talk about that. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thanks again, Robert.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. Okay, so Danville, PA, I believe is where you are from. And then he had this crazy connection down the road to it. But why don't you first tell us a little bit about who is Robert Hunter?
Well, I think I can best explain that by starting sort of at the beginning of this adventure with what you just mentioned, the 50 state tour. I didn't know this, but the first person to attempt a 50 state book and record tour in the span of a year. And now I know why I'm the first one, because it's absolutely, on one hand, amazing, but on another hand, completely and totally insane to buy to buy an RV, which I've never driven before, and get on the road with a manager and a guitar player and play, I don't know, perhaps 600 shows in one year. Everything from guitars in bookstores, to books in bars, to major venues, and also the idea of just having to get to all those places, like 150,000 miles in the RV, plus in the air to Alaska and Hawaii. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy, but also really enlightening in another way. It sort of changed my mind about what I started out to become, which was like a big star, and opened my eyes to like a lot of different people from all over the world who I met in places like South Dakota, or my now wife, who is Dutch and was just on a vacation. I happened to meet her in Amarillo, Texas, where I didn't even have a show. So I guess you could say I'm a risk taker. I'm an adventurer, but more than anything, I feel like deep down in my heart, I'm a artist, and now a different kind of artist. I've been playing guitar and piano since I was like 3. Guitar long before any songs were ever, had any ambitions of being on the radio. And that sort of changed when I did the 50 state tour. I don't know if you want me just to continue on, but
No, we're going
the
to jump.
story
We
just
have a lot to
goes on and on
conversate.
and
I
on.
want to know why he's such a risk taker, Kim. First of all, when were you born? What month? That's always interesting when you look at horoscopes. You look at specifically risk taking. When were you born?
I was born in February, so I'm a Pisces. I don't know much about horoscopes, but that has to be a risk-taking horoscope sign, I would think.
I don't know, but it's really interesting to look at horoscopes because it's not something you should read your horoscope every day, but you look at personalities and how personalities work in certain ways. But what do you think made you a risk taker, Robert?
Well, I think for me, it was a part of my background. My brother was a like heroic figure to me. He was a police officer. My dad also was a police officer. And my brother died at a very young age, very tragically and very suddenly.
Oh.
And losing him so unexpectedly made me realize, I think, just how short life really is, and also how precious and valuable people are and moments. And I was only about 11 when that happened. So I've lived most of my life sort of embracing, um, that sort of, I know it sounds sappy, but like following your heart. And most decisions I make, however scary they are, and they are scary to me. I mean, I'm a mountain climber as well. And some of the things I do, it's not like I don't have fear. I just think about it from like, if I were 90, looking back, would I regret not doing this? And that's sort of how I've lived my life. And also in terms of trying to do the right thing, even when no one's looking, trying to help people the best I can. In some cases, even when I need help myself, uh, I've really tried to make the most of every opportunity. And I guess that's translated into risk um, taking. But for me, it's just making the most of things, life, moments,
Wow.
opportunities, because they sometimes only come once.
That's true. That's true. And I'm so sorry about your brother. That had to be a really tough time. And 11 years old, that's an interesting age to lose a brother, because dealing with death and really understanding I've read that it starts to happen at around 10 years old. And so you were pretty aware, I'm sure, of everything going on, and whatever. It had to be horrible, horrible for your folks, horrible for everybody. Uh, but it sounds like it really changed maybe what you would be in life. Like it had a pretty profound effect on where you are and what you're doing.
It did,
Would you say
and I
that's
think
true?
about him. It is true, and I think about him every time. You know, taking a risk or making a giant leap from something really safe to something perhaps not as safe, but with many more potential benefits. I always think like, what would Donnie, my brother, what would he do if he were still alive and he were still here? And I really firmly believe um, he would have taken the adventure. At one point, he wanted to leave the police and start a pony show with the circus, which my dad said, no way, no way. But he was just a funny guy like that too. So I feel like I kind of joined the
Yeah.
circus when I went on the road.
So
And he'd
Robert,
be
when
proud
you
of
were looking at why you thought you wanted to be a musician, how did that develop? And then I want to go to the author and songwriter too, because like I said, it all goes hand in hand. But when you thought
it.
about being a musician, how did that journey take you?
It just was always in me. Like I said, playing piano and guitar from like a very young age. It was just my outlet emotionally. It was how I communicated or tried to as a young guy with girls, write them a song, because I'm like awkward and shy by nature, but I can uh, play a guitar and not be so awkward and shy. So music has just always been a part of my life in good times and in bad. It's just something that's in me. And uh, I've always, had that ambition to become a professional musician. And again, when that opportunity knocked, I took it. And ultimately, the story sort of ends in a kind of disaster. Not that the RV explode. I'm actually sitting in the tour RV right now, which it feels a little too much like a van down by the river in my mother's yard, sitting in this RV, and there's a creek right back here. but but yeah, I mean, when the tour ended, of all places, I ended up in Roswell to write my next novel and plan my next tour. Long story short, ended up falling in love with the girl I met in Amarillo and moving to the Netherlands. And I thought, I can write books in the Netherlands, and I can uh, play music in the Netherlands. But there were two problems with that. One, they don't listen to rock and roll music there. I mean, in general, they like dance music. I went to a big giant festival and was told this person and that person is going to be there and whatever. And it turned out to be a DJ playing those people, which is fine, but they don't play the kind of music that I write. So that was a challenge. And then secondly, the coronavirus happened, and it was devastating to me. And I know many people had it worse. Some unfortunately lost their lives, but the music industry and entertainment industry was really, really impacted. So my plans for a subsequent tour were out the window. I'm living in the Netherlands, which I have for the past 2 years, um, with basically nothing to do. And I'm watching this dream of being a musician that I came, you know, not within reach of, but I had it in my hand. I watched it just slip through my fingers, like day by day by day. And on top of that, um, I don't speak Dutch. And on top of that, I don't have any family or friends there. And on top of that, my other hero, I mentioned my dad, he was 50 something when I was born. So he was in his 90s at that point. And I'm worried about him and I'm missing that time also. But I can't travel because there were travel restrictions additionally. And I ended up in this really, 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 really dark place. Um, uh, 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 on so many levels, financially, creatively, emotionally, spiritually. And because I still clung to the idea that I have to be this rock star figure or whatever, best-selling author, whatever, blah, 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 which honestly means nothing in the real world, because it doesn't pay the bills and it doesn't make you a good person. And it also isn't there to talk to you at night when you're in a country 6,000 miles away and have no one. Um, and I couldn't tell anybody about that. I couldn't talk about it because in my mind I had to maintain this persona, and that was wrong. But that's what I did, and it got really dark. And the music, the thing that I always went to, um, sort of as an outlet emotionally, I didn't even have that because in my mind the dream was dead. And I stopped even playing the guitar or writing songs or doing anything, because it all felt very tragic and very hopeless and very sad. And I was counting all the things that I had lost, instead of all the things that I had, but I couldn't see in that moment. And this was like a real turning point for me. Um, I just happened to go online. I have a Google feed that just gives me stories, most of which I don't care about. But one said, simply that there were these high school kids who started a suicide prevention group to address mental illness. And it didn't even say where. So again, I'm in the Netherlands. I just clicked on that because I thought that's really inspiring. That's cool of them to do. I've met so many people on the road who had so many stories of struggle and adversity, and also overcoming those things. But mental health was something I was struggling with at the time, and I've also lost some really good people to me, as a result of suicide. And anyway, I hit the link and I looked at the article, and of all things, the group was in Danville, Pennsylvania, where I was from, which blew my mind. And one of the kids in the group is the daughter of a friend, a very good friend that I went to high school with. So I messaged him, and I said, I saw the article, tell Lauryn she did an amazing thing there. And it really inspired me. And the way it inspired me was to just sort of give her, like an atta girl. And I picked up my guitar for the first time. And I swear in the span of 5 minutes, I wrote the song Permanent. And it like, it felt good for a variety of reasons. One, just that I'm playing guitar again, but two, the words I wrote were sort of the ones I needed to hear. And three, I wanted to congratulate someone just doing good things in this world. And the idea that, like, if a kid can do that, inspire a grown man across the Atlantic, and hopefully probably many others, we all can. And I wanted to make that, known. And so I wrote those words. I know you're afraid to feel this way. It's going to be okay. It's not permanent. If you're lost, don't be ashamed. It's going to be okay. It's not permanent. I know it's hard, but please let someone in. And that's the thing I wasn't doing. And as I'm writing those words, I'm also absorbing them back to myself. And when I sent just the rough version of that song, just as a congratulations, and I felt accomplished as it was, my friend said he wants me to get it made. And I thought, wow, I haven't put out a song in so long. And now, you know, a very short time later, you know, the old Nashville song machine is fired back up again, and boom, we've got a finished product um, that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, wow, so inspiring. And suicide's tough. And the numbers are crazy, and certainly the pandemic did not help anybody's psyche. And so to take a hard moment, maybe the toughest moment of your life, where you were down in the darkest spot, and turning it into something very positive and motivational and inspirational, and to reach out the way that you did is incredible. Just the whole story of it is something that should be a movie, a book, something all by itself. And I'm so proud of her too. Like, good for those kids in Danville. Go you, Danville High School students, because kids need to stand
Absolutely.
up for each other. And mental health, there's such a stigma around mental health. And so people are afraid to reach out and ask for help, afraid to admit a weakness. And it's not what it is. I mean, everybody has
No,
their moments, right? When they're
everyone.
down. And yeah. So reaching out is so important. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah. So the way you reached out, and because it's a song and because it's recorded, it will continue to reach out to people. I lost my mom that way, actually, and
Oh,
suicide's tough. It's the worst
Sorry to
way
hear
to
that.
lose somebody.
I'm very
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Well, thank you, but I really appreciate what those kids did and what you did. I love the song. Every
Thank you.
word of it is so powerful, so impactful, and you did just such a beautiful job with it. And I know it's a song like no other for you, in that it's not about fame, right? The song, like
No.
what you're doing with the song. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's the exact opposite of being about fame. In fact, it was never on my mind at all that we would even put out the song. Um, and in terms of like the charts, it's actually not my best song, and I don't care because a short time after it was put out, I started getting private messages of very personal stories of adversity, people who connected with the song, or who were affected by it or inspired by it. And I'm talking from all over the world, including the Ukraine. And in addition, which that is a success. You know, it doesn't matter the charts, it doesn't matter the fame. The song wasn't written for that reason. Um, that said, of course, I have an ambition that even more people can hear it. Again, not so that it does better on a chart, but because I know if it can have had an impact on the people who reached out, it can hopefully have an impact in a positive way on other people who might be struggling, who might hear someone like me say, you know, I've struggled too. And to be honest, I've been all over the world, and so does everyone. The sad thing is, too many people keep it a secret. They put on a facade, and I did that. But now I'm coming out and saying that isn't real, you know, and that's not healthy. And that is what makes the song to me a success, no matter what it generates chart. Like I really don't care.
and what's awesome.
And to that end, I'll
Okay.
go.
No, I was gonna, no, you go.
Sorry, Neil.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna jump in just because we really want to get this point in because of what you've done, because at your darkest moment, you reached out to help others. Your life has turned around, and you talk about that, but also you're partnering with a mental health organization website that really is making it so that you can do this stuff and really make a difference, right? To keep you going, to keep you as an artist and do what you love, right? Kind of tell us that story.
Correct. Well, NAMI, for instance, is a mental health organization doing very, very important work, and they've given me the opportunity to share some of these things through their platform, and other mental health organizations have also begun to do the same, which I really appreciate, for the same reasons I mentioned. And in addition to that, I've also been fortunate enough to have now worked with some other artists, um, very talented people who also share the same vision, who are remaking the song in a completely different genre. For instance, Chase Akers, very prominent remixer, kind of dance style guy. I mean, they're probably gonna love him in Holland. They don't like my music, but I don't care. He's remaking the song in his own style, in his own way, but with the same message intact. And I'm actually offering the original stems and the rights to do that to other artists so that they can do it even in other languages. I've met with people in Germany, also in Holland. I was also in Turkey to do that very thing. Um, Although that was disrupted because the huge earthquake that happened. I was there for that. I experienced it. I was in Sida, Turkey when the gigantic earthquake hit. Fortunately, was okay, but had the experience of meeting with people who survived it, and their stories are just remarkable, incredible, tragic on one hand, but also so inspiring on the other. And the whole way through, I'm thinking about that song, and I think like universal thing that has now changed my whole life and presented me and put me in these situations where I perhaps have the ability to offer words of encouragement or support or share a story, and be in places where I continuously um, see it at its most dramatic. And yeah, I don't know how to explain that. I certainly didn't go to Turkey to experience that earthquake. And at one point, it was me and a Ukrainian uh, refugee and a self-proclaimed Russian um, patriot, all three of us having a conversation about what's going on there. That happened as well. And again, I didn't walk into the room expecting that. So something changed when I read that article, and it seems now that my music has a purpose, and I feel very, very good, and very good about that. And I take it very seriously, and want to do my best to represent that message on behalf of all the people who have done amazing things, for all the people who are suffering through very difficult times, and share that message that there is hope, and that um, you
Yeah.
have to be able to talk to people, and that these bad times, these hard feelings, they will pass.
Totally.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hope is so huge. And you giving hope and then living through the earthquake. Holy cow. I've done a lot of work in Haiti since the earthquake in 2010 that killed 200,000 people. And so I understand the devastation of earthquake and what a mental toll that plays on somebody living through a natural disaster. And you live through this natural disaster. And yet now here you are on the other end, all about helping people through the tough times, and it's not permanent. It's just so relevant and so true, and it seems so simple, yet it's so deep and so profound, because people have these dark moments and live through tough times, COVID, an earthquake, upset in whatever, the loss of somebody, the things that we go through, that everybody goes through in life in one way or another, but it's not
And
permanent. It doesn't stay. It's that for that moment, right? And you can get out of
it,
it.
it, it is, and I'm still living through that. I will let you know. So I was in Turkey just a couple months ago. The plan was to return to Holland and visit my parents at some point this summer. Um, while still in Turkey, I got a phone call from my mother that my hero father was sick. I immediately flew home a couple months ago, and unfortunately, unexpectedly, he passed away. So
Oh,
that's
I'm
why
so
I'm
sorry.
still here in Danville now. A lot of the plans I had got put on hold, of course, because I need to be here for my mom. And I'm still struggling, with those kind of things. Just myself, the loss of my father is tremendously difficult, and I can't tell you. I know it sounds ridiculous because there's many other people's songs that comfort me when I'm feeling down, but sometimes it goes through my head, Rob, talk to somebody, Rob, this isn't permanent. My dad's legacy is, and the grief and the loss and the anger, that part isn't. And now starting to come around to just remembering all the good things about him. And I like to think and hope, and I know he's looking down and that he's proud of the choices I'm making and the things I'm trying to do, just to try to do the right thing. And
well, you got
aren't
to
we
give
all, I
yourself
hope.
a break too, right? Along the way. Like you said, reminding yourself to reach out to people and reminding yourself that it's not permanent. Still, there's this grief. I'm so sorry about your dad. And it is a tough thing to deal with. And you don't know why your mind goes to the places it goes or why you're feeling a certain way on a certain day. But grief is like that. It
Yeah.
just kind of does funny things to you. So it's amazing that you're just not that far off from losing your dad and you're in the place that you're in and that you still have this huge heart to help other people. So thank you so much for all that you're doing.
We appreciate
No,
it.
thank you. Giving me this opportunity means a lot to me. I appreciate it very
Well, you're
much.
doing
Thank you.
tremendous work, and Kim has a final question regarding love. Go ahead, Kim.
I do. Yeah. So, everybody goes through stuff, right? So I lost my husband a few years ago. He was diagnosed with cancer 4 months after I was diagnosed with cancer and passed away six
No, I'm
weeks
very
later.
sorry.
Yeah, well, thanks. So I can feel your pain, brother. I'm with you on this. But it made me question a few things, and love was one of the things that it made me question. So I went on this year-long journey to discover the true meaning of love. And the things that I found out and discovered about love blew my mind and just rocked my world. And I wrote a book about it, Love Is. And so love is always on my mind. And love is huge, right? So as you're going
It is.
through all this process, here you meet this woman of your dreams, fall in love, move to another country because you're so in love. And so love obviously is a thing for you, but love goes way deeper than just, like a relationship with her. I'm sure that there's a deeper sense of love. So tell me, where does love play into all of this for you? The song, the woman of your dreams, the everything.
It to me is the ultimate only thing that matters. I don't believe in anything more than I believe in love. And I think I said something sappy earlier about following my heart. But I think if you do that in the pursuit of the things you love, whether it's risking it all to go to another country or, sticking by someone through a tough time, or however it manifests itself, I think um, the most powerful force on earth is love, and ultimately the only one that I think endures. The credit card bills and the problems and whatever at the end of life, they're gone, but the love remains, and not much else. So to me, I don't think there's any greater pursuit or any greater thing to take a risk over. Um, yeah, I I I fundamentally believe that.
It's
That's
such
beautiful.
powerful stuff, Robert. I tell you, if people would put, especially at your darkest time, you went and helped others. And that's the most powerful thing. When we're in our darkest times, when we're sad, we're suffering, we're dealing with things, we got to go help others. We got to stay busy. We can't just keep saying, woe is me, because at the end of the day, we can change our lives and have another path, especially when we help
Yes,
others.
sir.
And that's what
Yes,
happened,
sir.
Robert, and we appreciate it. Best place people can find your music and all that stuff. We're going to go.
Where can we find the music and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, you could go to roberthuntermusic.net, and the story and all the links are there. You can also visit my social media channels at Robert Hunter Music. There's links there as well. Instagram, Robert Hunter Music, also has links to the National Suicide Hotline and other resources that are available for people who might be going through a difficult time as well.
We appreciate it, Robert. Thanks again. All right.
Thank you so much for having
All
me.
right. That was a special simulcast, the Neil Haley Show and the Love Is podcast, guys. Take care.